This is Lisa Niver from We Said Go Travel, and I'm so excited to be here today to talk to you about video. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much to Melody and Taylor for inviting me to speak at their conference. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of times I go to conferences and I wonder, who is this person and why are they talking to me? So a little bit about what our plan is going to be for today. I want to tell you why me, why video. Melody and Taylor asked me to come and talk to you about how to get started in video. So who cares about video? And how do you get started in video now? So as a travel journalist, I think that travel is really important. I love travel. Travel changes lives. Travel broadens perspective. And you can experience life through someone else's eyes. Why me? Why am I here? So I want to tell you a little bit about me, but I'm going to start at the end. So what has been happening for me before COVID is I was sharing travel stories on KTLA. That's our local Channel 5 here in Los Angeles. And you can see a few of the times where I was on TV sharing stories. I've been working in video since 2010. And I started on KTLA in 2017. So I've shared stories about Ogden in Utah, Philadelphia, Napa Valley, Arizona. I love that Scottsdale was called It's That Hot in the summer, because you know what? It's that hot. I also did a segment, Chill and Thrill in Palm Springs, the Rocky Mountaineer in Canada. And my producer invited me. I was part of the KTLA coverage for both the Oscars and the Critics' Choice Awards. And since we're talking about video, here's a video montage for you.
Travel expert Lisa Niver is here.
Do you follow Lisa Niver?
Travel advisor Lisa Niver. So why Philadelphia?
Well, personally, I love Philadelphia. That's where I went to university. This is where you can sleep like a star. Another reason to check in at the fantastic La Pier Hotel is this incredible tub. I think I could have a whole group of friends in here with me. It's amazing, and they even have a bath menu. Travel is really important for our spirit, and it is important to get away. It's one of the only ways to get really good perspective.
This adventure seeker has been to 99 countries. But the creator of We Said Go Travel insists.
First from Lisa Niver, just head to We Said Go Travel.
We Said Go Travel.
Head over to wesaidgotravel.com.
So how did I get started in travel? In 1981, my family went on a cruise. We went on the Royal Cruise Line on the Golden Odyssey, and that started my love affair with travel. We went to see amazing places. We were at the pyramids in Egypt, the Parthenon in Greece, the Western Wall in Israel, and one of my favorite libraries on the planet, Ephesus Kusadasi in Turkey. And because of that trip, I was inspired to study in Israel many times. I went for a whole summer in high school. I went for 9 weeks with about more than 100 kids from Los Angeles. And then because of studying in the summer in high school, I studied in college. I spent a semester in Jerusalem. This is my photo from a press trip. This is from my hotel room in Jerusalem. And I've love being in Israel. I love travel, but I also really love scuba diving. And that passion for scuba diving has really changed my life. And you can see a few of my trips here. When I was teaching, I couldn't afford to travel, and I was trying to figure out how I could do everything. And so here you see me, I'm in Sipadan. This is Malaysian Borneo. This basically wall of barracudas is one of the most amazing dive sites I've ever seen. Sipadan's amazing. This one with the shark is in Cuba, Gardens of the Queen. And this one in Puerto Rico is from a photo shoot. I did a web series with Orbits. But one thing that happened before all of that amazing scuba diving was I started working in travel. And I started working at Club Med. And of course, I worked in the children's program because I was a teacher. This here is my sister who came to visit me, and this is me. That's me as Marge, my character from the dating game. And she was a little bit scary, but she won the dating game a lot because the other characters, they were basically too sexy. But Club Med, or Club Bed as we called it, I expected to be away for just 3 months. I packed up my belongings, but that wasn't true. I wasn't gone for 3 months. I was actually gone for 7 years. I started working on the cruise ship. I worked for Princess Cruises, Royal Caribbean, and a line called Renaissance Cruises. And little did I know that watching the TV show every Saturday night in the 70s would be something that I would actually do for so long and love so much. Another thing that I loved so much was teaching. So I told you I was teaching, I was traveling, I was teaching, I was traveling. And actually the very first time I was ever on KTLA was as a teacher. I'm going to show you a clip of when they came and filmed in my classroom for Career Day.
Graduating cylinders, does everybody have a pipette? Yes. I definitely get to play in my job, and the students love to come to science. That is so awesome.
It's no wonder they love it. Her classroom's oozing with gadgets galore and tons to explore.
Wow. That's awesome. I found a couple skulls.
One element she absolutely loves most, exposing kids to a world beyond their bubble.
That's right, in Indonesia in the floating market. And so they use a balance scale just like this. We've written to the president. We've learned about conflict minerals. It's important that people understand the global importance and geography and how all of our actions do have an impact on our whole planet. That's right, Antarctica.
Throughout her career, Lisa's taught thousands of students from grades K through 8. And what she's most inspired by? The potential in each and every one of them.
So that's a little bit about me teaching. And from teaching, I went back to traveling, and I backpacked for 3 years over 2 different trips. I was in Asia. And this is a picture of me in Samoa, and I bet my traveling partner that I could carry both backpacks, which I can. Not for very long, and I wouldn't recommend it, but I can. Anyway, when I left teaching, I promised my students that I would send news back, and I did. And so those newsletters is actually what was the beginning of my website. So here's another story. This is from Business Insider. This is in 2016, where they did a story about how my teaching and traveling turned into a career. You heard in the KTLA, it said 99 countries. This says 95, but right now I'm at 101 countries. So when I came back from Asia, I started teaching again. And this time I'm a licensed studio teacher. So I was working for Nickelodeon, and you can see me here at Nickelodeon with my kids. This is from the show Bella and the Bulldogs. And Breck Bassinger, who was the star of Bella and the Bulldogs, is now on the CW. You might recognize her. She's the star of Stargirl. So anyway, being at Nickelodeon for me was really a production internship. I learned so much about filming, lighting, production, the fact that things have to happen again and again. It was really great. And I just kept going and learning. And the one thing I would tell you is never give up. I have done so many different things. I've come back and forth, but I actually just received my 15th nomination as a finalist for the National Arts and Entertainment Journalism Awards. I've also been a finalist in the Southern California Journalism Awards. I've won 3 times. And just between you and me, I'm pretty sure I'm going to win again, because there's only 3 nominations, and there's 3, first, second, third. Most of the categories have 5. So that'll be award number 4 for me. Anyway, so I promised you we were going to talk about video. And one of the things that I think is really important is, who cares about video? We used to talk about that in my science class. It was actually one of my students' most favorite moments in science was I put up a slide that said, who cares? And they were like, who does care about the rock cycle? No one cares about the rock cycle. I was like, you know what? Let's just talk about it. And we learned that certain minerals are in our TVs, they're in our Game Boys, they're in our computers, and my students decided rocks and minerals are pretty awesome. So I also think you're going to think that being part of the video is pretty awesome when we talk a little bit more about why. So everybody is on YouTube. And when we say everybody, 2 billion users worldwide. You may have heard, these stats are from Oberlo, but you may have heard a lot of people talking about that YouTube is the second most popular search engine after Google. I've been hearing that for years, but you may not always think about YouTube as social media. YouTube is the second most popular social media platform, and it is also the video platform that is accessed more than Netflix. So a lot of people are using YouTube. So the question is, who is watching YouTube? And you can see in this graph, they're talking about the age group that's watching YouTube. So from 11 and under to 56 and over, it's basically 70 to 80% in every age group. So a lot of people of every age group are watching. Now the question I'm asking you is, are they watching your videos? There's 1 billion hours of video watched on the platform every day. That's billion with a B. Now for myself, I go to a lot of different conferences. I meet a lot of different people. And I have to tell you that a lot of times people say to me, I'm getting started in video. And I say, that's great. And then I see them the next year and I say, how's it going? And they say, oh yeah, I haven't gotten started yet. So we want you to have the tools to get started, and that's what we're going to be talking about next. But before we do that, I just want you to think through why beyond video, because sometimes when it's hard to get started, you need to know, why are you doing this? So video is a powerful marketing tool. 90% of people discover new brands and products on YouTube. 90%. So a lot of the businesses and the brands you want to work with, they want to be on YouTube. So if you can offer them that, that would be really great. Now, this slide I call Show Me the Money. 62% of businesses use YouTube to post video content. So this is the thing I have to tell you. The most money I've ever made has always been with video. Now, COVID has definitely been a slowdown of that process. However, hopefully we're going to get back on the road again someday, and video is going to keep being more and more important. Again, just to think about, where are people watching? 90% of people are watching on YouTube. People are definitely watching on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snap, but the majority, 9 out of 10, are on YouTube. So getting started. Video is important, but what will we do with it? Where will it go? How do we get started? So my videos start on my website, We Said Go Travel. Here you can see this is a very early logo. I started blogging in 2010 after my big trip. Here's how my website looked in 2012. In the beginning, this is going to be hard to imagine now that it's 2021, but back in 2010, my big worry was that I didn't want another password. I know that's hard to imagine right now because we have so many passwords, but at the time we didn't have 900 passwords for everything. Anyway, I got started on Blogger for 2 reasons. I didn't need a password and it was free. I was already on Gmail, so I picked up Blogger. And another thing that was very lucky for me is I was friendly with Jesse Voits from Wandering Educators and Dave from Dave's Travel Corner, and they helped me so much. So definitely make friends, ask for help. I remember once, this is in 2010, Dave and I were talking about something, and I was new on Twitter, and he was telling me how to put some code on my website. And I emailed him and I said, you know what? When I figure out how to do that in 2020, I'll take care of it, because I figured it's going to take me 10 years to figure it out. And he sent me the code. He's like, just put this on your website. And I never forgot that. It was so nice. He was so helpful. Another person who was amazing is Sherry Ott. A lot of you probably know her, and Jesse and Dave. They've been around forever. I worked with Sherry on Meet Plan Go in Los Angeles. And the way I've gotten started is just like this picture, step by step. I did not start all of these things at once. And please think about, this is my 11th year working with the website and with a video. So I started the website, I started videos, the videos go on YouTube, they go on my social, and they go in my other publications. The way I got started was with this camera. This is a Cisco Flip. I bought it in 2010 on eBay, used for $50. Again, I do not think you need the most expensive things. You just need what you have. So I went to Taiwan and I filmed a lot. And then I was like, what am I going to do? So here's some pictures of me at school. This is my friend Kangaroo Laney. She brought us a giant snake. She brought us a camel. If we have time at the end during the questions, ask me about the camel. It's a pretty funny story. But anyway, I taught kindergarten through 6th grade at one school. I came back from Taiwan with all my videos. And I don't know why, but one day in 5th grade, I said, I have all this footage. I took all this video, but I don't know how to make a movie. And my 5th grade student, Hannah, she said, you know what, Miss Niver, I'm going to stay in today at recess. I'm going to teach you iMovie. So I literally had a 8-minute lesson. That was the beginning. And I'm going to show you now some of the first footage and first videos from Taiwan. So what I want you to look for is, I'll give you some hints. Look for the music. There isn't any. Look at the camera work. Oh my gosh, it's so shaky. Listen to the sound quality. Not so good. The editing was so terrible. I'm only just showing you a tiny, tiny part of it because it's not that good. So here we go, Taipei.
Entrance 2, One. Let's head in. Link 1. Lisa getting tickets. Metro, let's see here.
2 of them.
Okay, so that's the Taiwan video. Keep that in mind. That's one of my first videos, and later I'm going to show you with all the tools how my videos look now. So here you can see Melody and I at a different conference. That was Travel Classics. I have a Travel Media Showcase, and I go to, like I said, a lot of different conferences. This here is a picture of when I went to VidCon, which is the YouTube conference. And I learned so much there about analytics, about video. A lot of conferences have a video class. Blogger had a class I took there. Always, I've been learning more. I've taken classes online. I've taken classes at the Apple Store, at the Genius Bar. There's plenty of places to take classes. So this is what We Said Go Travel looks like today in 2021. And like I said, you know, I've been growing the website. I don't know if you can read this part here, but it says that I've published 2,500 travel writers and photographers from 75 countries. I've run 15 different contests. It's always been really important for me that the platform was open to people. It's called We Said, and that people were getting there. But I want to remind you, when I started, I wrote once a week. I was teaching full time, and I wrote once a week. That was all I could do. And I actually didn't think it was that interesting to do more than that, but you can get started slowly. People did tell me, if you only write once a week, you will never get anywhere. And in a way, I thank them for their negativity, because it inspired me to see what I could do. And here, this is my coach, Erin. I hired Erin. We worked together for a year. She mainly works with television anchors, and we used to meet on Skype and every week, and we'd work on my filming and talking about different things. And here you can see us on the Fathom Adonia. Even the food was happy. Oh my gosh, look at how happy our souffles are. But Erin had said to me, if we go on a trip together, we could work every day. So we spent 9 days together in Miami and then in the Dominican Republic. And we filmed so much. We would sit in the cabin and she would say, okay, you know, now try it walking in. Now try it louder. Now try it bigger. And so that was such a great experience for me. I highly recommend working with professionals. Here's another, oops, I didn't mean that to happen. Here's another example of one of the programs I was on. So this is my interview on the Jet Set TV. That's Bobby and Nikki and Gavin. And I went and they interviewed me about my 50 Things Before 50 project. So that's a great project. I love that project. And I'm actually writing a book about it. But at the time they interviewed me, and then I said, you know, I'd really love to be able to share some of my travel stories. And Bobby said, be careful what you wish for. And I said, no, I do wish for that. I would love to share my travel stories. And so that's what happened. I became the adventure correspondent for the Jet Set TV. And later when I was having the opportunity to possibly go on KTLA, they said, do you have any footage? And I said, oh yeah, I did the web series with Orbits. And I'm the adventure correspondent on Jet Set TV. So that was really helpful, again, step by step, to have one thing and the next and be able to share that. So now I want to share with you all the tools. Basically, we're going to go through everything that's in my backpack. And you're going to think, oh my gosh, Lisa, your backpack's so heavy. And you're right. But I need a lot of things to make the video magic. So the first tool is my phone. So I use the LG V60 right now. I've had the LG phones for quite a while, and the V actually stands for video. This phone is built to be good for video. And one of my friends, Evan, actually works with Josh Gates on the Discovery Channel at Expedition Unknown, and he's helped me with some of my videos. And one of the things he told me is that filming on my phone is perfect. He said the quality of the current phones is really good enough. You don't need something else. He's now using the iPhone 12. I like the LG. But my other thing I would tell you is if you have a second phone or an old phone, bring that, because we'll talk about more about that, but 2 is better than 1. So before we talk about how many phones you need, I want to remind you my philosophy is don't spend a lot of money. A lot of times I've noticed when people are getting started and they ask me for help, they really want everything perfect from the beginning. And that's part of why I showed you my first logo, which looks like a cartoon and probably was done by a friend in a cartoon style. Anyway, my friend wanted to have a website, and she bought hosting, which I told her she didn't need. And she paid a lot of money for a logo, which I told her she didn't need. And she set up everything, and she never made one post. I said to her, you know what, why don't you get started right for me once a week? Let's see how you like it. What if you don't do it? Don't spend all this money, but she did. So that's just my philosophy. Start small, because see how you like it and see how it goes, and then figure out which things you need to fix. So at the end, I'm going to give you a link. I made you a handout with all these tools. You don't have to write them down. And I was able to actually put them in a little Amazon store. I'll give you the link for that. These are all the things that we're going to be talking about, and they'll all be in one place for you. So I told you I film on my phone, and now I'm going to tell you an exception. So when I went on an African safari with Abercrombie and Kent, and when I went to the Galapagos Islands, I did use another camera. To be honest, in the Galapagos, I used 2 cell phones, this camera, and the one I'm going to show you next. I was constantly charging phones, moving my files, backing everything up. It was a lot of footage. I mean, how could you stop filming in Africa or the Galapagos? There's so much to see. But the thing I want to tell you specifically about this camera, to go to Africa, I was going to borrow my mom's camera, but she came back from Indonesia. She dropped her camera. It was broken. So I was not taking that camera. I knew I had to bring a camera, and I had been at VidCon, and I'd been shopping the floor at VidCon, you know, like they have the expo floor. And I had talked to the people about Canon. I thought about all the different things. Anyway, I ended up going to Costco, and I bought this Canon, the PowerShot. It was about $300 or $350, and I figured it'd be good enough. One of the things I definitely had to practice was pressing the right buttons, because, you know, it's so exciting, you know, like the lion goes to kill something, and once I press the video button off. So practice is really another important thing. But what I want to show you about this photo is I was traveling with an amazing travel photographer, Matt Payne, amazing. His photos are amazing, especially his night shots. I mean, all of his photos. But one of the things he said to me, he and I took the same photo with this leopard, has a antelope kill that he brought up in the tree. And Matt said to me, his lens was $6,000. Forget all the equipment he had. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars of equipment. And that's what he does. He's an amazing photographer. Anyway, he said to me, you know, Lisa, that $350 camera from Costco, that picture might be better than mine. So sometimes it's not about spending the most money. And definitely for filming underwater, I do not spend the most money. Buying a GoPro is about, I don't know, it's $500. These cameras are knockoffs. It's about $50. But when you buy this camera, it comes with the case. Such a good value. And here's the thing. I lose them and I break them. I lost one camera diving in Cuba and everyone was so worried, but I only lost the footage from one dive because after every single dive, I back up the footage. And so was it bad to lose the camera? I'd rather not have lost the camera, but I didn't lose all the footage. I just lost an hour. So anyway, try not to break stuff, but I've broken everything over time being on the road, especially being in Asia. It's hard on your gear. I broke the computer, I broke the drive, I broke everything. Anyway, don't spend too much money. So when I'm traveling, you can see my phone has this strap. Everyone always wants to know about this strap. So this, it's like less than $5. This is probably the best thing I've ever bought. I had it on every camera. I mean, every phone I've ever used. Especially if you're filming over the water, you're filming out the side of the safari vehicle, you do not want to drop your phone. I mean, you never want to drop your phone because it might break. Definitely you want to have a case. That's what the strap attaches to. And you definitely want to have a camera strap. I highly recommend that. And again, not one phone, two phones. When I was working as the adventure correspondent from the Jet Set TV, my producer said to me, get a microphone. And she even sent me exactly which one. This isn't exactly that one anymore. I like this one. Again, I don't spend that much money on them. They break, you lose them. It just needs to be good enough. But the most important thing is to practice and to double check, because when you film something so amazing and then you go back home and you realize the microphone wasn't working, that is very sad. So that whole thing you see in the movies where they say check one, check two, do that, check. I do that all the time. And recently, for my birthday, I've been in LA since March, but for my birthday in October, I drove a half an hour to Venice Beach and I stayed at my friend's hotel and I filmed something for her. And it turned out my microphone was actually broken. And thank goodness I checked, or I would have had nothing. Another really important thing is to use a selfie stick. This selfie stick I'm using now is also a tripod. It does also have a Bluetooth remote. It makes such a difference. I really didn't want a selfie stick. I was like, oh, I don't want to be that person. But once I started using the selfie stick, I was like, this is amazing. Why didn't I use this from the beginning? So get a selfie stick. Don't worry about it. It's worth it. Now, another really important thing is music. There's a lot of music that you can use, but you need to make sure you have the rights to the music. That's very important. You cannot just use anybody's music. You have to have permission. So YouTube, when you're on the YouTube platform, they have music. For a long time, I used Ben Sound. I like them very much. Mainly, I now use Epidemic Sound. It's about $15 a month. And on my handout, I have a referral code for you. I think it has a free month. The other thing you can do is record your own music. When I was in Vanuatu, we heard several bands and I recorded them. It was at night. The footage wasn't good, but the sound quality was excellent. And so I used that for most of my videos from that trip. So that was really, really great to be able to promote the bands that we saw. And now, as you know, I started an iMovie with my lesson from Hannah, my lesson from a 5th grader. I love iMovie. I think it's a great program. Lately, I've been using in the Adobe family. there's several different levels. So if you're new, definitely check out Adobe Rush. It has a 30-day free trial. All of them have 30-day free trial. Rush, Elements, and Premiere Pro, they level up. I've taken a stack skills class about Adobe Premiere Pro. I've used the Adobe lessons that's part of the platform. And sometimes I've hired a professional. The sizzle reel on my channel, I hired a professional to do that. The KTLA montage, someone else made that for me. So I don't do all of it myself. It's great to have a team. So definitely you can use iMovie, you can use Premiere Pro. There's lots of things out there, but you definitely need to be editing. Now, another really important piece of equipment, I never travel without my laptop. I love my MacBook, but you also need an external hard drive. So I learned the hard way that if it's not backed up, it might get lost. So like I told you, I broke a computer on the road, and even more unfortunately was I broke my hard drive. So now when I'm traveling, I keep the footage on my computer and my hard drive, so I have it twice. If you only have it on the computer or you only have it on the hard drive, if you only have it once, that's not considered backed up. Backed up is twice because one thing might break. So when the external hard drive broke for me once, I lost a lot of footage, and that was really upsetting. At home, when I get home from a trip, I back up on 3 different drives. And when I was filming with Orbits, they backed up to 3 or 4 drives every single night. The other reason why you need an external hard drive is when you're traveling, like when I was in the Galapagos or Fiji or Vanuatu, people say to me, oh, back up into the cloud. No, video footage is very big files. It's hard to get it across Wi-Fi. I mean, in the Galapagos, I could barely send one message by email. There was no way I was going to be able to store footage. So I really think that it's important to have a backup. Now, another thing that's really important is to always be charging. So I always carry a phone battery charger. And like I told you, I often have 2 phones. So if my battery is working, I generally use one phone during the day and one phone at night, so I can make sure it's charged. In Africa, I had 2 phones and the Canon, so I was constantly moving footage. The most important thing for me about a battery charger is that it has, you can see these dots right here, is that it has an indicator light, because otherwise you don't know if the battery's working. So I have gone on trips where I've carried more than one battery charger. Like I said, my backpack's pretty heavy, but you got to get the footage. So the other thing that's really important for me is I'm out on the road, I'm filming all these things, and then I get home and I have to edit. I'm like, what happened that day? So because I use an Android phone and a Macintosh computer, I'm in 2 different worlds. So Evernote works great for me because it's on my phone, it's on my computer. For those of you that are fully in one universe, you have an iPhone and a MacBook, I think the notes that you have already works well. I happen to really like Evernote, but whatever notes you can use them. Take a lot of notes. So here's some of my favorite people. A lot of you might know Carolina McRae. I've been lucky to travel with them many, many times. This is us on a Viking cruise in 2015 and the inaugural for Norwegian Bliss in 2018. And I just put this slide up there because I like them, but also because McRae has been so helpful to me. And I want to remind you that the people around you can really make a difference in your journalism, your videos. So when I first started on iMovie, I told you I had a lesson from a 5th grader. So I was using every transition. So every time my my clips ended, I put a different transition. And I thought, if they have 20 of them, why not use them all? And so McRae sat me down one day. He's like, no, this is the worst. Do not do this anymore. Pick a transition. So yeah, listen to your friends. Friends are very helpful. The other thing that's very helpful is you are going to need to practice. This photo up here is me in Palau, and this is in Moorea in French Polynesia. And you practice taking photos, you take a lot of photos, you practice writing, you rewrite. Video needs practicing. So there's a lot of places, many more places now to upload videos, Facebook Live, Instagram stories, now there's Reels, TikTok. You have to get started. So here's what you can do. You take your selfie stick and your microphone and you practice. Think of it like a book report. My name is Lisa Niver, and here I am in Moorea, which is part of French Polynesia, and we went on an amazing hike. It could be short. You have a low follower count in the beginning, nobody's watching. That's awesome because no one can say very much because who's watching you? But you have to start in the beginning, start small, just do it. Now, I know what some of you are going to tell me. Cut the T out. You can do it. I know you can do it because I can do it. So the first thing you're going to need to do is create a channel. I'm recommending YouTube. When I was first getting started, Vimeo seemed like it was more of the platform. And definitely when I work on a team with professionals and editors, a lot of times the footage comes back and forth on Vimeo. So it's something to know about, but I would get started on YouTube. So we've talked about filming, editing, uploading. You can figure that out. Just go on YouTube. Or maybe someday we'll have another seminar, small group and actually film together. What do you think? We'll ask Melody at the end. And then the other thing is, remember I told you YouTube is a social media channel. And just like you calendar your articles, you maybe schedule your social media. I have a calendar for my videos so that I'm putting them up regularly because that really makes a difference. Now here's something that's very important, and maybe all of you already are thinking about this, but I just really want to bring it up about safety. One problem that we sometimes have is we're so engaged with our technology, we're not aware of our surroundings. We forget, like, is it at night? Are we alone? Did we lock the door? Do we have cash? Especially if you are in a place where you don't speak the language. Make sure you have a card from the place where you need to get back to. When I worked on the cruise ship when we were in Asia, we had a daily newsletter, and Princess, we call it the Princess Powder, and it always had the information in the local language. I am from the royal princess. Take me back to the pier. And I'll tell you, I was in India with one of the officers from the bridge. We got in a taxi and we said, take us to the port. And then we saw planes. The gentleman took us to the airport, not the cruise port. That wasn't too good. We did not miss the boat, but it was pretty close. So just something to think about. Also, when I was in Cuba, I was alone before I got on my liveaboard. And there were a couple of nights I really wanted to stay out dancing, but literally no one would have missed me for about 9 days. And I just thought to myself, maybe I'm not going to stay out here late tonight. It just didn't feel like safe. I also had a problem once with posting where I was. So I put up something on Facebook about my hotel with a picture of my most beautiful giant bathtub. And I got a message on Facebook, and a man wrote to me that he knew where my hotel was and he would like to spend the night in the tub with me. And that was the very last time I ever posted where I was when I was there. I now tell all the PR teams I work with that I do Insta later. When I'm home, I'm going to post about where I was. And that has been much better for me. I have a lot more time. I don't feel pressure to do it in the moment. I don't make spelling mistakes. I can put the videos in. I only had a problem once on a trip where the PR person came up to me and he said, "You're not posting." And I said, "Yes. We talked about that before I got here. I'm sorry they didn't let you know. I will post later." And he said, "I need you to post now." I said, "I'm not posting now. It's for my safety." And that's the only time it ever happened. I've never had a problem in general, but I always tell people in advance. Now, here I want to show you a little example of if you don't ask, you don't get. So I told you I go to a lot of conferences. I go to the scuba show and I go to the DEMA show, which is another dive show. I did a project in the Solomon Islands. I have a slide later. I can show you some of what I did for the Solomon Islands. But this trip, I was going to Vanuatu. Now, the only way from LA to get to Vanuatu is you either fly through Australia or you fly through Fiji. So I was flying through Fiji and I said, what if since the plane lands in Fiji, how about I spend a few nights in Fiji? And it ended up that worked out great. You can see here my overwater bungalow. It was pretty fantastic. And the other thing that happened is I did a lot of filming. So I showed you one of my first videos. So now I want to show you, this is video 968, not my first video. So unlike the Taiwan footage, I want you to look and see there's music, there's a microphone, there's editing, and the camera work is almost entirely me. I'm filming myself. So let's watch.
When you come to Liku Liku, you can help change the world. They're saving the Fijian crested iguana. And when you visit, you can hold an iguana and you can learn about their habitat. The tropical dry forest is the most endangered habitat on our planet, and they are planting a goal of 200 trees a month. So you can come and help plant trees. And they've been very busy getting rid of invasive species so that when they release the iguanas from the captive breeding program, then the iguanas will be safe. Do you want to see my little friend up close? Hello. Malolo and I say Banaka Baka Levu. Thank you for learning about the Fijian crested iguana, and we hope that you come visit Liku Liku in the Mamanukas.
So I think that video is way better than the first video. I did film that by myself. They were very impressed that I filmed all the information in one take. We'd been discussing all the information. So again, I'm a teacher by training. I worked with a coach. It's my 968th video. It takes a lot of practice, but it works. So I hope you can see why video is important. I hope no one's saying who cares about video anymore. And I just want to give you a few things to think about before we close. And one of them is I always say it's important to use the F word. And of course, that's flexible. You want to be flexible. So during COVID, I have not been traveling. I've been in Los Angeles since March 9th. It's about 348 days. Who's counting? And I ended up swimming. I swim a lot. I love swimming. All the pools were closed, but eventually the community where I live, the pool opened up. And it turned out one day I swam with Marcus Rogan, the Olympian silver medalist. And I wrote a story about him that got published in Teen Vogue. So that's been a great pivot for me. I wrote about swimming. And I'm also working on a memoir. So I'm writing about, I told you, my 50 Things Before 50 project, and also about my divorce. So recently I published this story, a reinvention reading list in a magazine called Undomesticated. It's a magazine for women living boldly in the world. And as a piece of moving towards being an author, I have been changing my social. So it just happened last month in January. Instead of doing all my social at We Said Go Travel. For those of you that know me for years, I've always been social under We Said Go Travel. Now all my social is under Lisa Niver. So that's a big change for me. And I promised you that I would make sure you knew how to buy all the things that are in my backpack. So I will send this link to Melody, but you can just go to this bit.ly, STET Niver, and you'll find all the things that I use. So before we close, I wanted to share a few more things about how it's worked out for me, different video opportunities. So this is me underwater at Beaches Resorts in Turks and Caicos. And part of the way I ended up there is because I spoke at a conference with Joanne Vero from Travel Media Showcase. That conference was the Metro Women's Leadership Summit. And I actually filmed with the team. I actually spoke with the team from Beaches. And later I went back to Beaches. And one of the things that is important to me that you heard me mention is about networking and making friends. And so this story only ever happened because of that. So I'm going to show you the video. This is what Beaches Resorts used for PADI International Women's Dive Day, and it's me underwater. We were with a team from a TV show, and Mike from the show happened to film when Gus invited me to dance. If you listen closely, you could hear me laughing, and this wasn't planned, but because he sent me this picture, and then he said, oh yeah, I have dive video footage. So I said, oh, please, could you share the footage with me? So I edited it, Beaches knew about it, and that's how I ended up part of PADI International Women's Dive Day. So I love that story. It really happened because I was friendly. Otherwise, I never would have had the footage. And we were having a little drama of Gus was stealing me from my buddy Mike. That was the weird little pantomime thing at the end. It had been a kind of an ongoing silly drama on the dive boat. Anyway, I told you I go to the scuba show, which is the conference for scuba diving, and I had gone to the Solomon Islands. It was the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Guadalcanal, and I wrote that story for Smithsonian and the Saturday Evening Post. And my videos were in the Smithsonian magazine, and this article was nominated for an award. So all the pieces have been starting to fit together. You know, they used my photos, they used my videos, I wrote the story, I got to go to the Solomon Islands. So it's been working out really great. But I want to remind you that you start small. I started very small. I recently interviewed, this is Gabby Natale, and she has 3 Emmys. She has 45 million views on YouTube. And when I talked with her, she said, starting small does not mean thinking small. I interviewed her Zoom to YouTube recently, and the article's on Thrive Global. The link will be in the handout with the Teen Vogue article too, and the Smithsonian article also. She started her TV show, Super Latina, in a carpet warehouse in Texas. And she said, starting small does not mean thinking small. I started small. I wrote once a week. So during this time of COVID, I've been taking classes at UCLA. And one of the things that impressed me the most about one of my professors was he kept talking about how this time of COVID is so hard. And he said to the students, make sure you're taking care of yourself. And I want to say that to you too. He said he's going to therapy. What are people doing to take care of themselves? So one of the things I've noticed is about seeds. We plant them, we water them, and we wait. Except some of us dig them up and yell at them. Why aren't you growing faster? So it can be hard to be patient. Like I said, I've been shifting focus. I've been writing more about books. I'm taking classes at UCLA. And I want to share with you one of my favorite things I found during COVID is the account of Liz and Molly. Here's 2 of their graphics. I just think they're such a breath of fresh air and realistic and calming. And another thing that I've been doing is, some of you know I do pottery. This is my Instagram for pottery, Simply Ceramics. And there's something very important about art. One of the things we've always talked about is this Japanese philosophy, wabi-sabi, which basically means it doesn't have to be perfect. And honestly, in a way, it's supposed to have an imperfection, so you know it's handmade. So I've been thinking a lot for myself, what is progress, what is a mistake, and how do we move forward? Like, what are your real goals? One thing I've learned about lately is this golden repair philosophy. And that's something I'm really thinking about, is how do things fit together, and how do we know what success looks like? And I used to read a story to my students at the beginning of every year that was called It's Good Luck, It's Bad Luck. And I recently learned that it comes from this story, The Good Luck Horse. And I read about it. One of the classes I'm taking now at UCLA is mindfulness. And we were actually talking about these kind of stories. So to close, I just want to read you what this story says, A Blessing in Disguise. An old man and his son worked a small farm with only one horse to pull the plow. One day, the horse ran away. How terrible, sympathized the neighbors. What bad luck. Who knows whether it is bad luck or good luck, the farmer replied. A week later, the horse returned from the mountains, leading 5 wild mares into the barn. What wonderful luck, said the neighbors. Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows, answered the old man. The next day, the son, trying to tame one of the horses, fell and broke his leg. How terrible! What bad luck, the neighbors exclaimed. Bad luck? Good luck. Who's to say, the farmer replied, shrugging. Then the army came to all the farms to take the young men to war. But the farmer's son was of no use to them, so he was spared. Good luck? Bad luck, said the old man. We'll see. So I know that for many of us, COVID has been a challenging year. 2020 was like 10,000 years long, but I hope you'll find a way to do something new, make a small step, and make some progress. So thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you're going to get started in video tomorrow, maybe today. And thank you so much to Melody and Taylor for inviting me to speak. I'm so grateful to be able to share part of my journey. Thank you so much.